Let's turn to Singapore. Singapore has reported one of the highest infection rates in Asia, but less than 0.1% of the patients, 0.1% of the patients in Singapore have died due to the coronavirus. Despite an aging population, Singapore has been able to mount a fairly effective response to the outbreak. But the recent spike in confirmed cases and new infections among the migrant population has sparked concerns. The foreign workers. To discuss the present situation and more, I'm joined by Shanmugam, Singapore's Minister for Home Affairs and Law. Thank you very much for taking time out and being with us here on WION. The spike of cases in the foreign worker dormitories has sparked debate over how Singapore is treating its foreign workers. What are the conditions like in these dormitories now, and how will Singapore move from here?
In 2015, we passed legislation, and there are standards and requirements. In fact, if people look at these dormitories, there's got to be a gymnasium, there's got to be a communal area. Each room has its own bathroom and shower facilities. So it's not the living conditions, but it's a communal living. And it is our duty to take care of them medically, and we will take care of them. And they know that. In fact, survey results haven't been published, but we have done a survey, a scientifically valid survey, that shows that most of them know that they will be taken care of medically, that their salaries, they don't have concerns. Their main concern is whether they will continue to have a job after this is sort of handled.
There's also a lot of talk about failure of leadership. Global institutions and leaders have failed in this time of crisis. Do you agree with this? And do you think that emerging powers like India and Singapore can step in?
Singapore cannot be mentioned in the same breath as India. You know, we are two different sizes. Singapore is not a country that aspires to or believes realistically that it can shape global orders. I think what we can do is we are like a petri dish. Our experiences are useful for others in looking at what works and what doesn't work, and maybe replicated in a slightly different way. Cannot be replicated in the same way. India, I think, in one aspect, I mean, I haven't given a lot of thought to a globalized response, but in one critical aspect, I think India holds a lot of promise. I read a fair bit about the deep Indian capabilities in the pharmaceutical sector, both in terms of science and technology, as well as the ability to manufacture. So if and when we get to a vaccine, India would have deep capabilities to manufacture vaccines, which would help save a lot of lives around the world. And, you know, if you take, for example, the Serum Institute, that's a leading institute, but there are many others. Serum Institute is working with Oxford. They are aiming to develop, 60 million vaccines or so. Human trials are expected to start. If it works out, it will work out very well. And other Indian companies are also trying to do it. And I've also been impressed with the way India has got to look at its large population, and the sort of amount of money that India can spend on these things is limited, or the average Indian can spend is limited. So the ability to come out, for example, with very low-cost ventilators that people can use, solutions that at a local level, whether you take Kerala, which has got, I understand, a very successful response at a community-wide level, or specific districts where the district collector has taken a very clear-eyed stand and has been able to mobilize the community and keep the transmissions and numbers down. I think the response across has been quite interesting, instructive. But on an international scale, I think India has got much to offer in terms of the productive capacity.